All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I am hoping I got a tutorial today about how to use the speaker right above here on the ceiling. So I don't have to use headsets anymore and I don't have to log into two different Zooms. So I'm hoping that this works. We'll find out if this video has audio or not. Um, Let me just double check, make sure. Yep, it is on the right one. Okay. Um, so this class is one of my favorite classes, but it's also the hardest class for me to teach, which is odd because this class is the most focused on event management, which that is my background, is event management. Okay. The reason why it's so hard for me to teach is because I just want to be like, just follow me and take notes about what I do. Because it's hard to teach what you do um, with an event. And so with this class, what we're going to do, we'll get into it just a little bit, but what we're going to do is there is a textbook and we'll use a little bit of it. There are some videos that are pre-recorded for you to watch and we'll come into class and discuss, but I am trying to also develop and bring in a lot of guest speakers. So AV, it's not my forte, right? Um, the one thing I love about events is that you have to have a strong network. You have to build a network because it takes everybody to make the event happen, right? No one person's going to be an expert in everything that it requires from an event, right? I think that that's one reason why I like doing events because it allows you to build a network. So I'm hoping to bring somebody to talk about AV because I mean I can talk about events that I've been to that have amazing AV, but I don't know how it's put together. Um, I have someone coming in. We're gonna zoom in next week, I think, or the week after. Um, it's in my emails. She works for Marriott and she is a sales manager for multiple hotel properties. So she's going to talk a little bit about what her job is like being a salesperson for multiple properties. Um, I'm getting ahead of myself. So our class is 10:45 to 1:30. It's only on Thursdays, right? So it's that double block since we only meet once a week. Okay. Um, Anybody ever feel like this
I feel like I look a little like
on a regular basis?
Yes.
Yeah, on a regular basis for sure. So almost always your assignments, when we have them, we don't have a whole lot of assignments, but when we do have them, they're going to be due on Thursday at 8 a.m. Okay, it's the first day of our week, 8 a.m. Our new week starts. Okay, um, the with our class participation, whenever we're talking about a certain topic, like if you've been to a conference or if you've been to a meeting before and you want to share what that experience is based on what we're talking about, it allows us to connect real world with the concepts that we're learning about. You know, the conference we just went to for the short course was freezing cold. Like I'm glad I know it was freezing cold outside, right? But I'm glad I posted an announcement to bring something warm to wear inside because I think at some points it was colder inside than it was outside.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And that's with the University of Houston. Like every time I've gone to a conference there, it is just freezing cold. And so I don't know why. They mentioned it was something to do with it was controlled by the university and it wasn't controlled by the hotel. And so the university just the way the university works, that's the way that I don't know what it takes to change the
She said
thermostat.
that as soon as the students leave for break,
Yep.
they shut
Shut
the heat
everything
off in that
down.
building. So it's not heated and it has an older furnace than the actual, the newer side of the
Oh
hotel.
yeah,
So it takes longer for that to heat up the
interesting.
space and the age of the heater.
Yeah,
Or furnace or whatever that they use to heat that side of the.
interesting. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I've been to a conference in August and July. and
It's
it's
still
freezing.
freezing?
Yeah, it's like you're walking into a walk-in cooler. Um, so when we have these discussions, it's important to kind of share those stories. All right, so I know most people know most everybody, but let's go to just do quick um introductions. So your name, your favorite color, if you've attended a conference, what was it, and what did you get out of going to that conference? And then the last show you binged or its favorite TV show. Um, so I'll give you a second to think. My name is Mr. Uminski. My favorite color is orange. Um, I have attended many conferences. If you go into my office, I like to keep all of my name badges, and so they're hanging on my bulletin board in my office. I love going to conferences and learning and meeting new people. Um, and so that's what I usually take away from conferences. And the last show I'm binging lately, I guess, is the TV show version of the movie Taken. It's really interesting. I usually fall asleep and I have to rewatch it, but it's
You talking about with
pretty good.
God, what's his name?
I'm not
When
good
they
with
kidnap his
people.
daughter.
Liam Neeson.
It's not Liam Neeson's in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liam
Yeah.
Neeson's in the movie, but that's not Liam Neeson's not in the TV show. It's like a mini series version of that
show.
movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, so there's different people taking each episode. Let me close my email so we don't have that dinging. I opened the doors and that noise gets distracting. We can close it, but it's set to 74.6 degrees in here. I was sweating, so. All right,
I'm sorry.
go for it.
My name is Danielle. My favorite color is red. I did attend the conference, short course. And I got so much information out of that, dealing with the AI, hotel law. And then the last shows I binge was the FBI Most Wanted, FBI, and FBI International.
Cool. Who'd like to go next?
My name is Michael Wolf. My favorite color, black. The conference we went to was was that the total?
Oh yeah, Visit San Antonio annual meeting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's basically like a 1 day conference. Yeah.
yeah, that was cool. That was I enjoyed that. Great food there.
Did you attend any of we had the general session? No, but you got there. That's right. You got there for the general session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got to see the main event. Yeah, but I should go to any early classes, and they had great refreshments. It was amazing. They had good coffee.
Yeah. And that the production value of it being in a theater, with like the staging and things moving. And I mean, it was really that was a
That
great,
took a lot of organizing. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of attention to detail. Cool.
The last show, probably House of Dragons.
Okay. I have never seen that show, House of Dragons
Game of
or
Thrones?
Game of Thrones. I've never seen a single episode.
I've only seen the first few episodes of Game of Thrones. It's pretty good.
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Like you get
I hear a
hooked
lot of people
eventually.
keep talking about it.
Because I've avoided it like the
Yeah.
plague.
Yeah, that's what I did. I avoided because I was like, what?
It's like, I'll try it. And I was like, oh, I actually don't hate this.
It's pretty good. A lot of archetypes. It's good storytelling.
And there's another one that has this Chinese Asian girl in it. She's supposed to be tall. I forgot her name. I bet you I can find it. And then you'll probably know who I'm talking about.
Interesting. All right, who'd like to go next?
I'm Ruth Dixon. My favorite color is green, and I just went to the short course with Mr. Minsky and these two. My favorite takeaway from that, the law class is way more informative, and the questions that were asked or that people would come up with. Now that I've worked a little more in my position, I have a lot more questions.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, when I took that law class in 2020, at short course, when I did it for the first time, um, I was like, ooh, I could teach legal issues. And that went away very quickly. But it got me excited about legal issues, which is to me is like a very dry topic. And so I've taught legal issues once 9 years ago, and I was like, this is not the class for me. So anyways, sorry. What's the show binge or favorite TV show?
The last one I binged was, I don't even know.
Any favorite TV show?
I like someone somewhere. It has a Bridget, I can't think of her name. Uh, in it.
Okay, one of my favorite shows. Awesome. Someone, somewhere.
Mhm.
Cool. All right, who's gonna go first?
All
Chris.
right, my name is Chris. My favorite color is red. I'm wearing red socks. And yes, PHLA in Houston 2 weeks ago. I think it speaks for itself in terms of the information. Um, yeah, I would like to go back there in like 10 years. Um, show I binged, Better Call Saul or Squid Game on Netflix.
The second season?
Of Squid Game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I never watched the first season either, but
You kind of have to watch the first one to
You do?
understand the second
Okay.
one, yeah.
Have you seen Better Call Saul?
no, I did watch Breaking Bad, but I never saw Better Call Saul.
I liked it. It was good.
Okay, cool.
Better Call Saul, I like a little more than Breaking Bad. That's just me, but
Okay,
I like those type of shows.
interesting.
I love Law said.
Cool. All right.
My name's Leah. My favorite color would be blue. I attended a conference, but it was back in 2016 and it was for bats.
Nice.
So, something I learned there was, I love bats, the animal, and it's kind of cool to meet different people who like that too, and kind of gave me some experience. But I was really young. I was like 24, so. And the last show I binged was Young Sheldon. My mom used to watch it and I'd be like, why are you watching this? And then I watched it and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. And my favorite TV show is Everybody Loves Raymond. I love to laugh, so I use that to laugh.
Good. I think that's a really cool thing about conferences is because you're right, you bring together people who have a common interest, right? THLA, these are all people from different properties, different hotel chains, and they all came together. I go to a conference, I'm scheduled for one in February. Not quite sure if I'm gonna go to it yet or not, but it is the Texas Community Colleges Teachers Association. So it's basically all of faculty from across the state and community colleges. And so we learn about different challenges that community colleges are facing or different methodologies for teaching and different techniques. So you bring those people that have that common interest together and you can really network and you can really kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And it's also really cool because how many times do you try to explain to somebody who's not in the industry about something you experienced at work and they don't quite get it?
Right.
But then you go to that conference and you're like, oh my gosh, this happened to me, and somebody actually understands what you're saying. It's just a really cool feeling. So yeah, I love it. Conferences are really fun. They are not inexpensive. And so I think, if I remember correctly, well, actually, I could tell you, to be honest. Let's see. The share drive. So the conference that we went to for THLA. was about $1,100 per student. I took 4 students. So it's about $1,100 per student. That includes your per diem, that includes the registration and your hotel. Um, the transportation was on my travel, so this does not include, I'm not included in this number for the travel. So yeah, so conferences are not cheap, but they're also not cheap to put on, right? I mean, I think the registration for THLA was $495 per student or per participant, right? And so almost half of that $1,100 was just the registration. Um, it was helpful that we were able to put 2 students per room because each room was about 600, almost $700, right? And so then that really kind of breaks the cost down. Um, but uh, but the conference, the registration, I mean, that's what THLA needs to pay for the food, for the AV every day, for the rental of the room space. Now they had sleeping rooms. They had a room block, which we'll talk about. They had a room block that had a discounted price for people that were staying as part of the conference. Um, Also, THLA is a little unique because it it was 5 nights. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, 5 nights. Most conferences usually are anywhere from 2 to 3 nights max. And so it was just a little bit unique in that regard. Um, but conferences are not cheap to go to. And so sometimes you really have to make sure that you get an ROI, a return on investment, right? But now shift your focus away from a conference attendee to someone who's putting on the conference. You have to make sure you're giving that return on investment so people want to keep coming back into your conference year after year after year. So, yeah, let's see.
Can I ask, Mr. Minsky,
Yeah,
that conference that we went to at the Tobin Center, how much would it cost to go to one of those?
so that the conference we went to at the Visit San Antonio annual meeting, that is it was free for everybody to go because it was a membership meeting. So people that are attending that, now I think it was open to the public, but the people that attend that are traditionally the members of Visit San Antonio. So they've paid a membership fee for the year. And then, part of that membership fee is hopefully going to cover that. But they also use a lot of a marketing budget. They have specific budgets that will cover meetings and things, events like that for their members. Yeah. And more than likely, I don't know, but more than likely, the Tobin Center probably gave some kind of heavily discounted price because think about it. You now have all of these industry professionals in your venue seeing an event. And so now if you're thinking, oh, I want to do an event for this group, the Tobin Center is a great place I can do that event. Right. And so yeah, so it's a way for them to showcase and show off their own space.
Organize, everyone benefits.
Yeah, exactly. So for our class, we're gonna have field trips. Okay. 2 field trips that I'm working on scheduling right now. I don't have dates confirmed, but one is going to be to a place called Freeman, not the Freeman Coliseum. Freeman is a convention decorator. So they're the ones who put on all of the trade shows, and they're one of the approved vendors at the convention center. And so they're the ones who will go in and decorate. Basically, they call them decorators, but essentially they do everything from the carpet on the floor, the tables, the chairs, what we call pipe and drape. Okay, so pipe and drape is like, if you've ever been to like a Comic-Con or like a home and garden show where they have like different booths, that fabric that they have that separates the booths, that's what we call pipe and drape, because it's the pipes that form the skeleton and then the drapes go on. Okay. So they do all the pipe and drape, they do all the signage, they even handle everything from whatever's in that booth. They can send to Freeman, they'll hold on to it, and then when they're done, they ship it back, and Freeman takes care of all of that. So it's a pretty cool operation. It's just right across 35. It's not too far from here. Another company that's also we started working with recently that does all of our linens here at St. Philip's. So they pick up all the linens from the upstairs and we don't have the linens downstairs. But they pick up all the linens. They it's called Brigman. Their warehouse is very close to Freeman. And so I'm trying to see if we can schedule it the same day. So the first half of class will do a tour of Freeman, and then the second half of class will do a tour of Brigman. So Brigman is a commercial laundry. They launder all of the linens, but they also have event decorating. So think about Freeman gonna be like on a big, massive scale, and Brigman's gonna do events on a more smaller scale. So they do rentals and things like that. So that's one of our field trips. The other field trip that I'm trying to coordinate is the convention center itself. So we'll go and do a walking tour of the convention center. And so I'm hoping Tracy is the general manager at Freeman for the San Antonio office. And so I'm hoping that we can do a tour of the warehouse. And then if they have a show at the convention center, we can do the tour of our convention center during the same time they have a show. That way you can kind of see the beforehand at the warehouse and then actually going and implementing at the convention center. So those are the two main field trips. We do have in February and March, the AHA luncheons. Okay. I don't know if I have a budget. I have to see if I have a budget for us to take our class. If I do, great. That'll just be our class. If I don't have a budget to pay for it, then those classes will be optional for you. I'm not going to require you to spend the money to go to a luncheon, but if you would like to, it'll be available. So I think February and March. April is going to be on Good Friday. It's going to be at SeaWorld. So that's going to be a fun luncheon. And then I don't know, May will happen after we're done with school. So those two dates for February and March, I have them on our calendar, which I'll get to you guys. The other thing that we're going to be doing is a special event appetizer and dessert competition. Okay. So walk over here for a second.
That one with the high schools,
Yep.
okay.
So these are the sponsor boards that we created last year when we did this event for the first time last year. So these are the sponsor boards that we had created. So we had some high schools that participated. Okay, so these are all the high schools that participated. And then this was our sponsor board. So Texas Restaurant Association gave us $3,000. That helped cover the cost of security. It helps cover the cost of renting tables. Any other kind of events costs like picking up plates and plasticware and things like that, napkins. Okay. And then what I did was to help offset the cost for the high school teams is I reached out to my industry partners and said, hey, would anybody like to sponsor a hotel, or would anybody like to sponsor an appetizer or dessert team? And so to do that, they paid $150 that went to the high school. And so these sponsors here did the appetizers teams. these sponsors did the dessert teams. Now, this was also though something that was really cool is Freeman does our signage. So I just send these as a file to Tracy and she prints them out for me, complimentary, right? And so want to make sure we recognize the sponsor for that. Our beverage sponsor, Specs provided wine, and then Silver Eagles sponsored the beer. Um, let's move on to the team prizes first. So I reached out to the zoo to say, hey, would you all be considered being a sponsor for an appetizer or dessert team? And she said, well, we can't give you money, but we still like to participate. What can we do? And she said, how about tickets? And I was like, okay, so why don't I was like, we have People's Choice Awards. So people that are attending the event get to vote on their favorite dessert, favorite appetizer. And there's 2 people per team, right? There's 2 desserts, 2 appetizers. Um, and so I think what we did, can't remember off the top of my head, but I think we ended up getting like 8 tickets to the zoo. So each person got 2 tickets to the zoo. And then second place team. So I was talking to somebody from SeaWorld. I was talking about this event, and they said, well, we want to participate. So what can we do? And I was like, well, I don't know. What would you like to do? And so they ended up giving us 4 tickets. And I think it was 4 or 8. Zoo gave us 16 tickets. And then the SeaWorld gave us 8 tickets. And we used those, right, for the People's Choice Awards. And then one day I was talking with Visit San Antonio. I was at a different event. I was at the LGBT Chamber Mixer. And I was talking to someone from Visit San Antonio. And I was talking about this event. And then he was like, well, how much are your awards? And I was like, I don't know. We haven't priced them out yet. I was like, but I'm thinking, we have first, second, and third for judges' choice for dessert and appetizer. So that's 6 awards. I was like, if we do like $75 to $100 an award, that's like 600. And he was like, okay, deal. We can do that. Done. Just send me an email. And so Visit San Antonio was our award sponsor. They paid for the awards that day, right? And so this event came together far better than I ever would have hoped for the first year. Okay. So I'm really excited. We're not gonna duplicate it. We're gonna basically plan this event together as a class. Um, but and so it'll look very different. I saw Dawn Ann is the president of the San Antonio chapter for Texas Restaurant Association. I saw her last week when she came here for an event. And she's like, yep, we're in. Just send me the information. We're in for $3,000 again. I was just like, okay. So last spring when I was doing this event, I sent out the email and I can't remember where I was going. Maybe to a conference. I was traveling somewhere and Dawn calls me and she's like, David, we want to sponsor all the teams. And I'm like, well, I already have some commitments to other sponsors, so I can't just tell them no thank you for their money. And I was like, but we hadn't talked about doing a title sponsorship. And she's like, well, figure out how much it is and just email me. And so I had a conversation with my class and we said it was $3,000 would be good. And she presented it to her board and they said yes. And so they were the title sponsor, which is always the biggest logo on your sponsor board, and the most prominent, right? And so because of that, every team got sponsored by somebody. That's 150. And then because of the Texas Restaurant Association donation, I think every team ended up with $225. That helps them with their ingredient cost. We had an attendance of about 100 people. So I anticipate that this event will grow And we'll probably have more than 100 people this year. We had the appetizers were in the 400 rooms upstairs, and the desserts were in Artemisia's. Um, and so this event is not only, so it's like it's got so many different factors and levels to this event, right? It brings in industry people to St. Philip's to see what we're doing. It gets them introduced to the high school kids, which are the next generation after you guys, of industry professionals. Okay. It gets the high school kids in our kitchens cooking so they can see themselves cooking in our kitchens and then encourages them to come and be a student here at St. Philip's. And it also gives you all practice of seeing what an event is like to plan from start to finish through execution. So there's multifaceted of this event. We got a lot of great feedback as people were leaving, industry people were leaving, they're like, how do I sponsor a team next year? So I don't think we're gonna have any problems, but we never, ever, ever want to take anything for granted, right? So we don't always think, oh, well, it's gonna be easy because whatever. So anyways, the reason why I say that is we are gonna do this event, this appetizer dessert competition, okay? But alongside as we're doing different components, I'm going to teach you the proper, not the proper way, but a way to write a sponsorship letter, how to develop a sponsorship package, how to do a room layout, how to do all the different components of the event. As we're doing it with this event, you're also going to be doing it as your own event on the side, okay, as a semester project. So when I say we're going to create the sponsor board, then I'm going to give you criteria for you to create a sponsor board. Now, this is going to be something that is, I mean, if you want it to be an actual event, great, go for it. If you want it to be just something in your mind and you want to pull logos offline just to kind of have the exercise of creating a sponsor board, that's fine too. It can be a total theoretical event. Doesn't have to necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to happen. Okay. So that is kind of the components of what we're going to be doing. Because this is an AHLEI course, as soon as someone gets the access code to register for the exam, as soon as somebody gets that, then I can register you for the exam. I can get a copy of the exam and I can make sure your chapter quizzes are aligned with what the exam is. Okay. So Danielle, check your book because Roots did not come with a Scantron or an access code.
Feels like Christmas.
And you check your revenue management. What does that say on the front?
Online exam.
Okay, so that one looks like it has the access code.
That's exactly how mine.
Is how yours look?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no Scantron in here then.
Okay, I will add that to my list.
Oh.
Usually in the back.
And if there was a red Scantron, you would see the flap on the back side of the back cover. So, all right.
When I go to get my book today, should I go ahead and get it? Cause it doesn't have that red Scantron or,
Yeah, because what happened last time is the bookstore just ended up purchasing access codes for students that didn't have the access codes. You had the access code, but students who didn't have it, what ended up happening, the bookstore just bought access codes and then I assigned them to specific students. So you all at this point should have an HLEI account, which is great. So if they get to that point when they give me 5 access codes, I can just assign them to you all.
okay,
And we can do it that way.
okay, so it's safe to go then purchase the book or
Yeah.
get the book, okay.
And they may ask you to order it and then come and pick it up when it's ready. Order it online and then come pick it up when it's ready, but I don't know, you may be able to walk in and just get it. Um,
Because there
So-
was, when I ordered mine, it was on back order.
Really?
Yeah.
You did it online or through the?
Yeah. I did it online. Soon as I saw the email talking about pick up, put in your order for your books, I put it in. It said this was on back order. It might not be now.
well, because and it is something that it's a class that we only teach in the spring, right? And so it's not like a class that has 30 enrollment every single semester. So they don't necessarily keep a lot of them on stock. Because I could decide tomorrow that 2026, I don't want to use this book anymore. So if they buy a whole bunch of them, then they have excess stock. And so oftentimes with classes that are only offered in one semester, they typically will wait to make sure that they have the number that are needed. So they don't. So they may have already based on the enrollment of this course.
Okay.
So yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Well,
So when we get closer to the field trips, you'll announce when we're doing them.
Exactly. I'm working on your course. I'm working on the course calendar right now. And putting in dates. The second half really doesn't have a lot of dates filled in right now. So what I'll do is I will post the calendar probably on Monday or Tuesday next week, whatever I have, with understanding that it is probably going to change as I introduce more things to it. And I'm going to be 100% honest because you guys know me. I do not have your project outlined yet at all. This is something that I wanted to introduce last year, but we were really focused on the event. But now that the event is done, and I can basically plug and play with things that I've already done in the past, now I can go ahead and work on trying to develop the semester project. Okay. I am going to say probably more than likely, I'm gonna ask that your event happen here at St. Philip's College in this building, right? Because then I can give you the floor plan of the rooms upstairs. And then you can practice putting tables and chairs or tables and different things in that floor plan. Because Miss Francis and I went out there with a tape measure and we measured every single wall. And so I would say it's 95% to scale. It's not quite, it's not an architectural drawing, but it's like 95% to scale. So that way, because like the things that you don't want to do is like, oh, well, I have this, I can easily put in these round tables in a drawing, but do I know if those round tables will actually fit like that? And so that's what I did. Let me show you real quick, just as an example. My OneDrive not connected to this computer.
so we're doing tables, we're doing the big tables this year, or we doing the same ones like we did last?
We'll do cocktail tables. Yeah. I guess my OneDrive's not connected to this computer. Dang it. Oh well. Oh, you know what? I can log in online. Let's do that.
Serving alcohol this one? again?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll volunteer.
You will not get industry people to a happy hour if there's not alcohol. So we'll have beer and wine.
I'll be your bartender again. You hook me out.
We have beer and wine. I'm gonna need to get wine. But I do have I don't know. I have beer left over from a summer event as well. I don't know how long beer lasts.
As long as it's not open, it will last for a while.
You said the summer
It's
event?
been cooled and heated and cooled, like.
Yeah.
It was cooled once and then it was brought back up to temp. I just store it in my closet in there.
And if they're clear bottles too, if lights.
No, that's brown. It's brown bottles. Yeah. And some of them are cans. So, I mean,
I could try one for you. If it tastes like skunk.
No, we'll figure something out.
Survey said.
Surveys. It's afternoon, just kidding. So let me look at my files. Dessert appetizer competition, where was that? 30, okay.
I got who won.
So. Yeah. So this is as close as possible as we could get to scale, to have the doorways, the tables. These tables are the rectangle ones. And then these are the dining room. We use the dining room tables from Artemisia's.
Wait, is it on the screen?
What's that?
Is it on the screen?
Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing.
I was imagining it.
Oh, because I didn't
good.
end this.
Pretty close.
It's on duplicate.
And you said when we do these projects, they don't necessarily have to be like, we don't necessarily have to invite people. It could just be like
Correct.
kind
It's
of
just
like.
all theoretical. We go through the process. Why is it not changing?
I'm not good.
It's on my full screen.
There we go. Yeah. So we'll have a little bit more logistical things that we're gonna have to come up with, because last year when we did this event, we did it in May and cleanup had already happened. And so we restricted the people, the participants, to only using the induction cooktops. They couldn't use the ranges, the ovens, because it had already been cleaned. And so this year, we're gonna do it in April before cleanup. So that way, again, those students coming in can get the full experience of using our kitchens. And so there's gonna be a little bit of logistical things that we're gonna have to figure out. Obviously, the baking students, the desserts. We may want to switch them this year to have them be in a baking kitchen. And then, so if you look up here, now this is also a lesson that we learned. We had all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 teams of each, actually. We had all 14 teams in one kitchen. So that's like 30 something people in one kitchen, right? So it was really tight. And so if we put the baking students in a baking lab on the second floor, and we put the dessert or the appetizer students in Artemisia's kitchen, right? We'll have to take into consideration that there's a class there on Friday nights. So Friday's out. We can't use Friday. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna send out a survey to the teachers to say what date. We're gonna figure out like maybe 2 or 3 dates, and then we'll say which date works best for you. And then that way they can make that decision. And we'll set the date. But if we're doing appetizers in here in Artemisia's, these are things you have to think about logistically. Maybe it will make sense to have the appetizers in Artemisia's, since they can go in and out of the kitchen, and then have desserts come and be in this room. But things that we can think about, we can talk about as we go through it. So how do we get feedback? How do we get information from the teachers? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So in the fall, I sent out an interest form to the teachers. I use Google Forms. Okay. How many of you have a Gmail account? Okay, perfect. Because we'll do a lot of stuff in Gmail. Okay. And so when you go to your Google form, when you click on these 9 little dots, of course, you have all your Gmail stuff, all your Google Drive stuff. Scroll to the very bottom, and we're going to be creating some forms. Okay. And so a form is just basically like registration that you can use. And in this case, I got some interest, a level of interest from people. So I sent this to all of my contacts, all my high school teacher contacts, and said, please fill this out by November 22nd. Okay. So I could be like, you know what? This is all we're gonna take. Or I could say, you know what, let's send it out one more time. Just anybody who didn't respond, give them a chance to know. We are into I'm going to anticipate 150 to 200 people this year. Just to make sure we don't run out of food, because you don't want to have an event and then you run out of food, because it's not a good thing, right? So on this form, we're bringing it back. We want to do it in April, because I feel like that's going to be a good. If we do it early in April, Fiesta is late this year, like late April, early May. And so if we do it kind of early April, I think we would still be okay.
It's gonna be in the evening? You said,
It'll be in the
or-
evening, yeah.
Evening?
Yeah, so the event itself is going to be from 5 to 7,
Oh,
and then the schools can get here as early as 2 o'clock.
so we're gonna wanna be set up before 2.
Yeah, so that's where if we can figure it out, if it's a Thursday, if we can figure out a Thursday, that's awesome. We can use our class time 10:45 to 2 to make sure the event is set up.
We can do
Um,
registration.
and registration and everything, yep. And so, and then if you have the opportunity to come and stay for the event and help with the event from 5 to 7, that's awesome. I can't require it because it's outside of our class time, okay? So we're gonna put out like a call for volunteer list. So that'll be one of the aspects that you're gonna learn along the lines of preparing for the event is how to put together a volunteer list and basically create that form for people to fill out. Okay. So we have room for 16 teams in each competition. Okay. That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
32 samples of appetizers and desserts, right? So if we look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 8 teams. And so double the number of tables around the room, that gets pretty tight, right? So do we want to limit? Do we think 16 in this room is not a problem? 16 in Artemisia's might be a little tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to max it out at a lower number?
Well, let me ask this, will it max out for both? Cause I know you said in the breakout rooms.
Breakout rooms?
We can put more people. So what if we do everyone in there and we do the cocktail tables in Artemisia? That way, now we can fit everybody in one room and then other people can go sample and eat in Artemisia. Or would that be a little too tight?
That would be too tight in the large room because the idea of having 2 separate rooms is that you split the 150 to 200 people.
Okay,
If we had everything in the large rooms, that would be, I don't think fire code would allow us to put 200 people in this room here. So let's look at this real quick. Let me look at the
16 of the big tables in Artemisia?
No. We would rent cocktail tables.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's 16 rectangle tables. Like each team gets one rectangle table. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'd have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It would be tight, but we could do 16. You want to say 12 per group, per category? Because that would only be 4 more tables. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more tables in Artemisia's.
now, where would the bar go in?
Well, if we did 12 per, that would be 7. So we only have the middle screen down. So if we had to add 5 to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we can put the water there and put a team right there.
I think if
Because
12
I
is
know-
possible, 12 would be better.
12 will be better, okay.
Yeah, cause I know last time I did it, you had a bar in Artemisia and then a bar.
We didn't have a bar in Artemisia. Oh yeah, we did. That's not right. We did. We had it into the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. You're thinking of a different event. Yeah, we didn't have a bar in Artemisia's. We had you're thinking of the summer event that we did, the cafe conference.
I wasn't there for that one. I think you did have one, cause I think Sarah was in that one and I was in the one in the big room. And I think it was set up to where she was.
We were
behind.
in that corner, yes, but not for the dessert competition. No, because I think honestly, I think you're thinking about there was no bar in Artemisia. You're thinking about the summer event for the cafe group.
Was it the one?
Yeah, because we served that blackberry cocktail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, so 12,
So we don't have those cocktail tables here, we have to rent them, oh.
you have to rent them. I
Yeah.
mean, ideally, I would love to have some
I don't know,
cocktail
I don't have-
tables.
It's a small set.
It's cost money. Okay, so I'm gonna update this. Now, the cool thing is we have 11 responses. So one thing I love about doing Google Forms, right? So I create the information. Schools will be allowed teams of 2. Oh, sorry, let me go back real quick. Let me back up. So when you ever do the details, right? Anybody remember in elementary school, the who, what, when, where, why,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, when will I ever use that? Well, you use it in events. Okay.
Actually, I used it in journalism.
Yeah, okay.
What, when, where, and why is how you write a journalism piece, like a newspaper. or-
Yeah. Exactly. You want to
So-
cover all those. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten and I've been guilty of this sometimes. I'm not perfect, but I remember I would get like an event invitation and there would be no date on it. And I'm like, how do I know if I can go to this event
People
if
make-
you don't give me, I was like, and y'all are event people. Like, how do you forget that? But you know, it happens.
A lot of
So-
local bands, they make their own flyers and they forget the place. Like,
Yeah.
they always forget the place. Like,
Exactly, right? And you're just like, okay, so who, what, when, where, why, and how much oftentimes is what you're also gonna put like a ticket price if you're charging, right? So who, what, when, where, why, and how much are those 6 questions. And so who is the high school culinary and baking students, the attendees, primarily it's gonna be local hospitality people, right? That's who we primarily want it to be. Appetizer dessert competition. The date is to be determined, but it's gonna be from 5 to 7. It'll be at St. Philip's College THCA building, and we're gonna celebrate the skills of aspiring culinary and baking students. There's no entry fee. Okay, so schools will be allowed teams of 2 students to compete in each competition. Hot appetizers are not required, but students will have access to the kitchen equipment in the THCA lab. Schools are required to bring all service equipment such as chafing dishes, trays, etc. I'm gonna add plastic, silverware, and 5-inch plastic plates will be provided. Any different serving
Now, are the schools responsible for the table setups? Right, like I know one of them had some, like a wood cutting board or something like that.
yeah, they bring all that.
Okay, they're responsible for, okay.
Yeah. Trying to think what's the word I'm looking for. Serving. Need different.
service.
apparatus.
I wanna say vessel. Does he say vessel?
Yeah. Cause you're talking about like what they would put it on.
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
You could say, plateware.
Or plateware.
Different serving decoration.
So essentially what I'm saying is I'm telling them, if you're okay with a 5-inch clear plastic plate, we're gonna give it to you for free. But if you want something different that is going to complement your appetizer or dessert, then you gotta bring it yourself. Okay? Um, cool. A wait list will be generated if an event reaches capacity. Teams will be assigned categories based on the order in which they complete this form. And I've given them the actionable date. So this was back in November. Okay. Um, Official team registrations will take place during the first week of February. So that is 2 weeks from now. We got to have our registration ready to go by first week of February. Okay. So basically we're anything with an asterisk next to it is a required, and you can in Google Forms you can change whether it's required or not. Okay. And then so you basically it's got all the information. Appetizer team only, dessert team only, or both appetizer dessert. Okay. And then I also gave an option is if you selected both, which one is your preference? So if there's only room for one, like if a team, if a category reaches capacity, then I wanted to be able to give them their first priority if they wanted appetizer dessert. Okay. Um, oh, I forgot that I even put these in here already. Are these Thursdays? Fingers crossed. Yes, they are Thursdays.
That's awesome.
Look at how amazing I am. I didn't even realize it. Okay. So now that we have this, the thing I love about using Google Forms, and I'm sure there's a lot of different platforms, a lot of different programs that do this, but in the responses, you can see the individual responses, okay? But you can also view in Sheets, in Google Sheets. So you open it up and it automatically puts it together for you um, in a Google Sheet. So we have 11 teams already. So we technically only have room for one more team. Okay. Then it has all the contact information, and all 11 teams want to do both appetizer and dessert. So that's great because they're the 11 that responded. They all get their first choice. What I can do is I can send out an email to other remaining teachers and say we have one spot left. And so, or actually looking
What
at
does it say?
this.
None of these dates will. That's what I was gonna
So that's Bernie. So now that's only 10 schools. So I can say we have some spots available, and anybody first come, first serve, whoever wants them can have them, right? So the other thing the one thing I like about doing in Google Sheets is going to the different questions. So I can scroll to here and the dates. Well, usually it shows me in a pie chart. Questions, responses. Huh.
maybe settings. Put a pie chart. I don't know.
No. Oh, I see. 2 responses said all of the dates work for them. 1 response said that. 4 responses said April 3rd. 1 response said April 10th. 2 said April 17th, and 1 said not. So, Chris, can you do me a favor? What's up? You go to the board right here and let's do a tally mark. So, we'll do the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th.
So it's every time you say which one is tally.
Yeah, so let's put 2 for the 3rd, 2 for the 10th, and 2 for the 17th. 1 for the 3rd and 1 for the 10th. 4 for the 3rd.
You said 4?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
1 for the 10th. 2 for the 17th. That's it. So how many do we have?
8 for the 3rd.
Okay.
and then 4 for the 10th,
Okay,
and then 4 here too.
okay. So it looks like April 3rd is our date. Um, and so for April 3rd, if we have 8 and we have up to 12 teams, then now we have room for 4 more teams to come in. Um, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I will send an email out to all my teachers that did not fill out this form and just say, hey, we have 4 spots open. And if not, we only have 8 teams. Well, we have 8 teams and that's 16 samples. That's a lot of food. And so I feel like eight is a good number, minimum number we want to have per category.
Could we still reach out to those?
Yeah, we'll definitely tell
schools?
those schools that for the 10th and the 17th is like I'll email all of these people and say the official date is going to be April 3rd.
Okay,
Now I'm probably not, well, you know what? I'll email Amy at Bernie I'll include her on the email list. Um, and just to say, I know you mentioned that none of the dates worked for you, but just in case your calendar opens back up, this is the final date. That's the date we finalized.
Okay.
We settled on. Okay, so April 3rd is our event day. Yeah.
now, are we going to send out, are we gonna do a form for people to RSVP? So
Uh-huh. Yep.
Okay.
And so, thank you so much. I have the lid. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. So this is what we'll do is we'll duplicate this form. Okay, which is really cool. Check this out. I go to my Google Forms and this is my registration list. How do I duplicate? Make a copy. So I want to do this 2025 appetizer dessert competition. I'm gonna do registration, so it's easier for me to find it. Okay. So appetizer dessert competition, hospitality industry happy hour mixer. It has our information here, and we decided it's gonna be on April 3rd. April 3rd. 5 to 7 p.m. Um,
I have a question.
yeah,
So this is gonna be set up, so we're just gonna help with this, right? And
we are doing it as a class,
yeah,
yes.
as a class, right? And like, so each of us could do something like, I'm really good at the registration.
Yeah,
part.
absolutely.
So, or do we all have to be in that room, like?
No, if you want to sit at registration and check people's names off, you can absolutely do that. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep, we will do this as a class for those people who are available. Okay. So try to think. Last year we did the judging by 6:30, which gives people an hour and a half. That's plenty of time. Yeah, I'll keep it at 2 hours. Okay. Um, questions and or comments? Nope. I guess we're good. Okay. So now what I can do is I'm going to publish this. And then when I want to send it, share. I can copy a link and then anyone with the link can get it. So I'll copy the link and we can share this with different people. We probably won't share it until, well, I guess we start sharing it in February. With like AHA and Sala and Visitor Alliance and all of our wonderful industry partners. So, yeah, April 3rd. Sounds good. I will have more of like an outline next week on in class as far as what our project's gonna look like. In the event world, you have um stop share.
Helping to plan this event will help us with our project.
Exactly. So as we are doing things, I'll give you examples of like the registration list. And you can model your registration list after that. Yeah, so doing each one of these things is going to help. So not ideally, but in the event world, again, I have to admit this is probably one of the hardest classes that I have to teach because it's really hard for me to slow my brain down enough to say this is why I'm making this decision. And so sometimes I just kind of go right through, right? And so if you need me to back up and be like, wait, why did you make that decision? Why did you do that way? Just let me know. So in the event world, we have the pre-event. That's our planning. And then we have day of. That's the execution. And then we have the post event. And that's where we have kind of our feedback. And so there's going to be different activities in each one of these areas that we're going to follow through and kind of work through this process of pre-event, the day of execution, everything we have to have to be ready to do the event. And then we're going to evaluate and do feedback as the post event. Okay. I'll give you a second to write that down if you need to. So I'll kind of have our project kind of broken into those little chunks. As you're planning an event, you want to answer those questions, the who, what, when, where, why. Okay. And that's going to help you as you move forward on other aspects of the event, as far as the theme, as far as the decor, as far as the menu, as far as anything like that. And so that's the thing that I want you to think about first is the who, what, when, where, why. What is the event that you're going to host, that you're going to plan? Why are you having the event? Um, and what components are you going to do? Now, luckily, you already have the where. It's going to be here at St. Philip's, right? So let me pull up one thing that I was just thinking about. Yes, sir.
I know you say you're gonna show us how to do the letter for
Yeah.
sponsors.
Uh-huh.
Can we take those letters and go out and try to get
Yeah.
sponsors too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If it's an event that you're actually going to do,
He's gonna take their money, not tell the event.
No, I'm talking about actually getting sponsors for,
Oh, for
That-
this event?
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were for your project.
cause like my
oh
whole.
yeah. No, you absolutely can do that. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have a way for them to register as sponsors. That way, I'll show you how that goes. So that way we have people, we don't double sell a sponsorship. Cause like, for example, certified folder displays was a dessert sponsor for Steele High School because their kids went to Steele High School. Right, so they wanted to sponsor that specific high school. So I have something like that we can do.
So did that sponsor offer or did you reach out to them?
Well, so a little bit of both. So this is how it came about. I'm on the board of directors for the San Antonio Hotel Lodging Association, San Antonio Visitor Alliance. And so I was at a Visitor Alliance board meeting. And I'm what's considered an ex officio member, which means I don't vote on anything, but I'm still involved with the board of directors as like an education person. Um, and so at the end of every board meeting, they allow the ex officio members to make comments and whatever. And so in that meeting, I basically threw out the idea. I was like, we're having this event, trying to figure out how to deal with sponsorships. It's $150. I wanted to make it so small that a business is like, oh, $150, that's no big deal, right? And so um, at that meeting, Joe Trevino, who owns the certified folders display, he said, he's like, well, if Steel's participating, then I'll be their sponsor. That's how that happened. And then I emailed him and was like, yep, Steel's participating. They're doing a dessert. Here's your sponsorship link so you can sign up. So sometimes that's honestly, that's how, a lot of times that's how this happens. If you're just in the room and it's like, hey guys, I need this. Okay, great. Here you go. I can help you out. So yeah, it's helpful to be involved with a lot of things.
Now, is the competition just open to public schools or can private schools enter it too?
If they have a culinary arts program, private schools can. Yeah, I just need contact information to send it to.
Okay,
Send a link to. Okay. I thought I did. Let me look. So I thought I had done a feedback form for it. So that way teachers could give us their feedback and we could improve. But I don't see that. Guess I never sent a feedback form, so we'll add that to this year's list. Things to do. And now that we're doing the event in April, we'll have time too. Whereas last year when we did the event was May 2nd, which is like the final exam, week before final exams. So there was no time for me to review the feedback with the students. So this year we'll definitely make sure we have that post-event feedback from the teachers. All right, so it looks like we have room for 4 teams. We'll do I have the interest form. So I need to create an actual participation form. Cool. So we can work on that. We can work on that together. Trying to think of what else. We have. Let me double check Amory. No. Thursday, February 27th. So our guest speaker will be February 27th. I thought it was end of this month, but it's end of next month. So I'll add that to our calendar.
Guest speaker, he's gonna be here, right?
Yeah, she'll be on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a field trip, okay.
No, not a field trip. She'll just be on Zoom. So let me add that before I forget. Well, it's on top of my head. Those calendars. Spring 25. February 27. So for next week, if you could watch chapters 1 and 2 videos, that gets us ready to talk about them in class on the 30th next week. We'll go over chapters 3 and 10 the following week. And then we are going to do some room setups. You're gonna do individual presentations. I believe that's chapter 13. Can you look at chapter 13 in your book? See if it has room setups.
Actually set up room?
No, we're gonna do presentations about different room setups. We'll look at the table of contents in the front of the book. Yeah, what is that, chapter 13? Got it. So what we'll do is we'll assign the different room setup types. Next week, we'll assign those, and that'll give you 2 weeks to prepare the presentation, and then we'll give the presentations on the 13th of February.
PowerPoint presentation.
Yep, you can do PowerPoint, you can do Prezi, you can do whatever presentation style you want. Yeah, I do have a template in Canvas. So let's take a look at that real quick. Mention group sales. So in the modules, my office hours. Again, these are the hours that I'm in my office waiting to come talk to for y'all to come talk to me, or you can log into Zoom. If you're not here on campus, you can log into Zoom anytime during these days. Let me just think real quick before I forget. Copy to. I keep forgetting to do this. There we go. Okay. So we are, let me turn off, let me go to student view so you don't see all my unpublished stuff and get confused. Okay, so lesson 1, chapter 1 and chapter 2, if you'll watch these 5 videos before next week. Okay, so we'll talk about chapters 1 and 2 in class. We're going to assign the function room setups. This is a should be a template in here. Not a template, but there is a suggested format of slides. Okay. Okay. And then we'll give the actual presentations. So I will have basically the way that it's going to work is next week we will assign the presentations. And then by the next week, I'm going to ask that you give me a draft presentation so that I can give you feedback on that draft presentation before we actually give the presentations. Okay. Let's see. Let's look at this. When you create a presentation, we don't want any fonts smaller than 22. Okay, that allows for someone in the back of the room to be able to see the words correctly and large enough. Okay, we don't want to use full sentences. Oftentimes, you want to use bullet statements. Remember, your presentation that's up here is to jog your memory of what you want to mention. If you want to have note cards to read from during your presentation, that'd be awesome. Okay. But make sure that you are, when you're doing your slides, that you don't have full-on sentences. You use bullet statements to kind of just help jog your memory of what you want to talk about. Because if you have full-on sentences on your slides, how many times have you been to a presentation where somebody is literally reading the slides verbatim?
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, I could be reading those slides. Like, I don't need you to sit here and read those slides to me. And so sometimes that I mean, hopefully I've never done that, but I'm sure I have. But yeah, so those those presentation type skills are really important. Would it be helpful if I actually did a template, like a PowerPoint template? And then you can just plug and play? Or
Yeah,
do you want to
please.
create your own templates?
I haven't used PowerPoint in like 3 years, that's why I'm like I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
relearn like.
me too. No,
Clear enough,
like, if I
that's
could
what
just-
takes me the longest, is I'll be stuck on trying to like put a word, like put it, I don't even know how to explain it, like. I haven't used it in years, that's why I have to relearn it.
I mean,
think he
you can
wants-
use any kind of presentation thing that you want to use. It should be digital though.
I've never used the other ones that you're.
I think I know what he's trying to say. You want to see like an example of how,
I mean, it does
how it
help
was
to have
to
a
be done.
template, but it's just gonna look really cheap when I do it. It's gonna look really generic, like. the most
Well,
basic-
so, and it depends on your version of PowerPoint. Um, so
Because they have some templates in there.
they do, but let's do this. Let's do this together. We'll create the template together real quick.
like if I could just see like an example how you kind of
Okay.
want it, that would help me.
So I'm gonna
decide how I'm
do
doing it.
this template, okay? And let me get it to where I can see what my preferences are. Okay, so we have a title slide, okay? The next one, I want to insert is going to be a title slide and content. And then the same, let's do picture with a caption. That's gonna be the visual examples. This one, the pros and cons, I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. Right, so you can hit pros,
Yeah.
cons. Okay, and literally just have the bullet statements, okay? And then any additional information that you want to share. So we'll do another one with just title and content. Okay, Yeah.
That's perfect.
okay, so now with this, you can choose obviously to insert when you're doing insert images. If you insert an image from the device, that's something that you've saved onto your computer. Okay, stock images, they may have something, they may not. Or online pictures. Okay, you might be able to find something like there to put in here, may or may not. Okay, and so if you want to, you can go online and do a Google image search for something, right?
We have to draw the layout, we can like draw it pretty good, like.
Yeah, take a picture of it and upload that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
totally
we
fine.
did it for the bar and beverage class, that's the last time I did a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah,
Mr.
absolutely.
Munoz.
You can, if you want to, then after you create everything, you can, or before you create it, you can select a design of what you want. So that way you can see how it's going to appear. Okay. One thing that I is really helpful, and this is just for me personally, if you go to the view tab and you do outline view, okay. If I hit so this is the title, and then I hit enter, and you see how it inserts a brand new slide. Okay, if I hit tab, then it puts it's basically that next text block. Okay, and then I hit the down arrow and I move on to slide 2. And so this is my room setup name. And then from this outline, I hit enter and tab, and now it goes into that definition. And then it goes into the uses. Okay, And I can also do. Then I'm recording this, I'll post it in Canvas too. Okay. Okay, so in this outline mode, I'm literally typing in the title is in bold, and then everything else is here. So I can do prose. Not that. Hold on.
So you have to press the tab. That's what I'm saying. How do you jump to the next text block?
You're clicking or just hit the tab button.
Use the tab button.
So I can do my pros and cons, right? And then other information. Okay.
Okay, so can you back up just one second? So the first one on there was pros, and then you said like, and then the second one, you're just,
It's the cons. So the
okay,
bad, like what's like, so for example, if you have theater style is there's no tables, it's just chairs, right? Well, a pro for theater style is you can pack a lot of people into one space. But the con is they have nowhere to write anything. So if it's a presentation where they have to take notes, they have no table to take notes.
right.
And so pros and cons. There's pros and cons. There's a purpose between every single room set. This is what kind of room setup do you think this is called?
Classroom.
Oh, classroom. All right, classroom with tables and chairs. There's pros and cons and specific uses for each type of room setup style.
The book will go into that.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
now,
Yeah. So you'll read that section rather than me talk to you all about chapter 13. You guys are going to teach each other about chapter 13.
Okay.
Okay. So this outline view is a way for you just to kind of get your thoughts down. And then when you go to normal view, now I can go in and change the design. I can add pictures. I can do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that seems a lot. I think I just make it harder, but
Yeah. Now, I learned something. I probably should to share this with you guys, but I'm going to because maybe one day you'll need to know this. So Google Gemini, I learned this. Well, you guys that went to short course,
yes.
I learned this in short course. Create a 6-slide PowerPoint about theater style event. No, let's do yeah, we'll do theater style. Including the use, pros, and cons. So this literally gives me my 6 slides of PowerPoint,
Cool. Oh, yeah. You
right?
learned
And
about
so I
this.
take this, I copy this, copy, go into PowerPoint. Now he had a way that you could actually open it up, but I don't remember how to do that. So I'm gonna go to view, outline view. Of course, I'm gonna want to take out this.
Yeah.
Right? And then I look at normal view. Oh, just kidding. Why did it do that? Oh, that's slide 1. So then I come here to slide 2. Come on. Hit enter, slide 2. Slide 3. Slide 4. Slide 5. The sixth slide, here we go. Slide 6. Okay. Go to your normal view. And of course, you can change the layout. You can, so this would essentially just have to be your formatting, right? But I just created this presentation, the content of the presentation
Under a minute.
in under a minute, and now I'm just going to edit and format it how I need to.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so
it's called Chat
GPT?
GPT.
well, Chat GPT is another one. This is Google Gemini. So yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Just by watching that, I feel more confident.
Yeah.
doing the PowerPoint.
yeah. So of course you definitely want to, I do not recommend you just use this and here's my presentation, right? Because you want to make sure, because it's going to be obvious if you didn't actually do the research, when you come up to present, it's going to be obvious that you don't know the information, right? So you can't just, oh, for the sake of an assignment, let me create a presentation. You still have to be able to present on that information. Okay. So, and it's not perfect, but I think that there is a way, but I don't remember, so I'm not going to teach you that. So let me undo all of this.
So can pros and cons be in one PowerPoint slide, or would you rather
Yes,
them be in
I would
two?
recommend them to be in one PowerPoint slide, just like this.
Okay,
Pros and cons.
okay.
Okay. So I'm going to delete this. Now, something else that I like, is, so let me just do a quick Google search of theater style event CD or room setup. Okay, so I do an image search. So you can do like this. You can do an image that's very like this. That's like a drawing. You can also, this is also an example of theater style, right? So you can, let's say I want to use each one of these. I'm going to save it. But if I were you, that's what I would recommend you do. Go to your desktop on your computer, create a new folder that is HAMG 2330. Okay, oops. Open that up, create a new folder, and do event setup presentation.
I got a question about one of those pictures.
Theater 1, what's up?
You did theater style seat setup, right? The one right there next to it says theater style meeting room. That's look more like a banquet. Look, go to the left.
The round tables.
Right here?
Yeah.
Chairs.
Oh yeah, that is banquet style. Yeah.
That kind of threw me off because I was like, you did theater style.
So I'm gonna save image. I'm gonna do theater 2. And this one, I like this one too. Okay, so I right click, save image as. So I don't have to retype theater, I just click the other image. And then just change the 2 to a 3. Okay.
Do everything the long way.
So now when I go into PowerPoint, okay, this is my visual representation. So let me view the normal view. Okay. And now I want to insert a picture from this device, my desktop, 2330, theater 1. Okay. That's not what I want. Delete that. Okay, so insert picture from this device, theater 1. Okay, so I've got this picture here. Now, I could just do this picture, but that's kind of boring, just a picture, right? So I want to add a border. Pick this color red, right? See how I do the eyedropper? So I get the specific color that I want.
Didn't know that.
And then on the border, I want to change this weight a little bit to give a little bit more weight to it. Obviously 6, that's a lot, right? That's a little excessive. So maybe like 2 or 1.5 point. Okay. So now check this out. I click this. I hold down control. So when I hold down control, look to see how my icon has the like the 4 arrows, right? When I hold down control, it changes to the plus sign and the little square. Basically, I'm going to click and drag and copy that picture. Okay. Now, when I right click and I can change picture from a file, theater 2, it automatically has that red border around it, right? So I don't have to go back and change the border on every single picture. Click and drag again. Right click, change picture from file, theater 3. Okay. And so now I have these images here that have a variety of different ways of showing it, right? And that's a lot faster than putting in a picture and then resizing it, right? Because, oh my gosh, I got to resize this. Now I'm just being a little anal, and I would probably do that looks a little bit better because it's aligned.
Now, how did you get it small? The picture small?
So when I did, well, when I did insert, when I did change picture, it automatically changes the size.
Okay.
Yeah, for the smaller ones, because this one is automatically a square. The smaller ones are rectangles. But if I were to save or change picture, well, I guess it doesn't. It does resize it. Oh, I thought it would keep it the same. That's okay. Um, there we go. I like how this overlaps and that overlaps. Just visual. Okay. So that's one way that you can create that and then also keep that same formatting, and it keeps it pretty consistent, which then adds to the level of professionalism to it, right? Designs. On this case here, again, on this picture format, the picture border, if you use the eyedropper, then I can select these specific colors to make sure that I'm not trying to guess what color
Yeah.
it is, right?
I never knew that's what the eyedropper.
I want to actually get that specific color from the screen. So if you have logos, that's something that as you do things, I've noticed, like for me, if I have a logo for a company that I'm working with and I want the font to match that exact color, I'll use that eyedropper. So that way I make sure that that font is the exact color from their logo.
So
Yeah.
you can officially assign this project next class?
Yeah, or we can do it today if you guys want to get a head start. You'll have 2 weeks to do your draft. You guys want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's open up chapter 13. I don't have my textbook right now, but let's open up chapter 13.
Which get in a different,
And each are doing a different room setup type. Okay. So if you have your textbook, open up chapter 13, and let's do the let's talk about the major types of room setups. Chris, do you have your book?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Chris.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to, how are those, Ruth? Are they stale?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Well, no, they're not stale.
I mean, they're expired, so.
I ate them, so they're fine.
I need something to wake me up.
Do y'all want to randomly select or do you want to select your presentation type?
Too random.
Well, how about this? We can do, those of you who want to select, any of those who want to select, you can select, and then the remaining, we can just do random if you want. Okay,
Random.
so let's,
Can you tell me all the, oh, well, I guess.
we're gonna look at that right now.
Here you go, bring your chair.
So we get this erase. Actually, I'll do it on the screen so we have a documentation of it. All right. Let's do this. I'm gonna stop the recording